So I think a lot of guys genuinely don't realize when they're attractive to women, and I'm not just talking about physical appearance here. I'm talking about the whole package, the way you carry yourself, the energy you give off, the way you make people feel when they're around you. And the thing is, most men are way too hard on themselves about this stuff, and they miss signals that are actually pretty clear once you know what to look for. So today, I want to walk through 7 subtle signs that you're probably more attractive than you think you are. And I say subtle because these aren't the obvious things like women constantly hitting on you or telling you directly that they find you attractive. These are the quieter, more everyday signals that most guys either don't notice or they downplay because they assume it doesn't mean anything. Now, before I get into this, I want to be really clear about something. This isn't about feeding anyone's ego or making you think that every single interaction means someone's into you, because that's not realistic and it's not helpful. Context always matters here. Some of these signs happen in isolation, and they don't necessarily mean someone's attracted to you specifically. They might just mean you're pleasant to be around or that you're socially comfortable, which are good things on their own. But when you start noticing multiple signs happening consistently, that's usually when it means something more. And also, this doesn't mean every woman is going to respond to you the same way, because attraction is subjective, and what one person finds attractive might not register for someone else. So I'm talking about general patterns here, not universal rules, and I think that's an important distinction to make up front. The first sign is that people seem genuinely comfortable around you pretty quickly. And I know this sounds simple, but it's actually a really underrated indicator of attractiveness. When women feel at ease in your presence without you having to try super hard to make that happen, that's usually because you're giving off a calm, secure energy that makes people want to drop their guard. A lot of guys don't realize that comfort is one of the foundations of attraction for most women. We're not just looking for someone who's fun or impressive, we're looking for someone we can relax with, someone who doesn't make us feel like we have to perform or be on high alert. So if you notice that women laugh easily around you, or they open up about personal things without you having to pry it out of them, or they just seem relaxed in their body language when you're talking, that's a sign they feel safe with you. And safety, emotional safety especially, is incredibly attractive. This doesn't mean they're automatically into you romantically, but it does mean you're doing something right in terms of how you show up. I think sometimes guys assume they need to be the most interesting person in the room or have the best stories, but honestly, being someone who makes others feel comfortable is way more magnetic than being the loudest or the funniest. The second sign is that you get lingering eye contact, and I mean the kind where someone looks at you just a second or two longer than what feels standard for a normal conversation. From a woman's perspective, when we're attracted to someone, we tend to hold eye contact a little longer because we're taking you in, we're trying to read you, and we're also testing to see if you notice. It's subtle, but it's there. And the thing is, a lot of guys misinterpret this, or they don't register it at all because they're so focused on what they're going to say next, or they assume the woman is just being polite. But there's a difference between polite eye contact and the kind that lingers with a little bit of softness or curiosity behind it. If you're getting that consistently from different people, especially in social settings like a coffee shop or a party, or even at work, that's usually a good sign. Now, this alone doesn't mean someone's madly in love with you, obviously, but it does mean you're catching their attention in a way that goes beyond just casual interaction. The third sign, and this one's really common but often overlooked, is that people go out of their way to be near you. And I don't mean they're following you around or being weird about it. I mean you'll notice that in group settings, certain people tend to gravitate toward where you are. Maybe you're standing by the kitchen at a party, and someone who was across the room suddenly comes over to grab a drink, even though they weren't thirsty a minute ago. Or you're sitting in a certain spot at a regular hangout, and someone always ends up sitting near you. Women do this when they're interested because it gives them an excuse to be in your orbit without being too obvious about it. It's a way of creating opportunity for interaction without putting themselves out there in a way that feels risky. I've done this myself without even realizing it sometimes, where I'd find reasons to be around a guy I was interested in, just to see if something would happen naturally. So if you start noticing that pattern, where the same person or multiple people seem to end up near you more often than randomness would suggest. That's usually not an accident. The fourth sign is that people remember small details about things you've said. And this is one that I think guys really underestimate because it seems so minor, but it's actually a huge indicator of interest. When someone's attracted to you, or just genuinely interested in you as a person, they pay attention. So if you mention offhand that you're training for a half marathon, and then 2 weeks later, someone asks how your running's going, that's not just good manners. That's someone who is listening because they care about what you're doing. Or if you mention you're into a certain type of music, and later they bring up a band or a song that fits that, they're showing you that what you say matters to them. From a woman's perspective, when we like someone, we file away these little details because we're curious about who you are, and we want to show you that we're paying attention. It's a way of building connection without being too forward about it. So if you're experiencing this, especially from someone you're interested in, that's a really good sign. But again, context matters here. If someone's just naturally detail-oriented or they have a great memory, it might not mean anything romantic. But combined with some of these other signs, it usually does. The fifth sign is that you make people laugh without really trying. And I don't mean you're telling jokes or doing bits. I mean your natural way of being, your comments, your observations, your sense of humor just lands with people. This is attractive because it shows you're comfortable with yourself and you're not overthinking every interaction. Women are drawn to guys who can make them laugh in an easy, unforced way because it makes the interaction feel light and enjoyable. I think a lot of guys assume they need to be a comedian or have a super quick wit, but honestly, the kind of humor that's most attractive is just the kind that comes from being present and being yourself. If people are laughing at things you say even when you're not trying to be funny, or if they light up when you start talking, that's usually because your energy is infectious. And that's a form of attractiveness that goes way beyond looks. The sixth sign is that people mirror your body language. This is something that happens subconsciously when we're comfortable with someone or attracted to them. So if you're leaning back and they lean back, or you cross your arms and they cross theirs a moment later, or you're gesturing a certain way and they start doing something similar, that's their body naturally syncing up with yours. It's a psychological thing that happens when we feel connected to someone. I remember being in conversations in college where I'd realized halfway through that I was completely mirroring the guy I was talking to, and it wasn't intentional at all. It just happened because I was engaged and interested. So if you're noticing this, especially in one-on-one conversations, that's usually a sign the other person is tuned into you. Now, some people are just naturally expressive, or they mirror everyone they talk to, so again, you have to look at the overall pattern. But if it's happening with someone you're interested in, and it's combined with other signs like lingering eye contact, or them going out of their way to be near you, that's usually pretty telling. The seventh sign, and this one's probably the most overlooked, is that people seem disappointed when you leave. And I don't mean they're crying or begging you to stay. I mean there's a subtle shift in their energy when you say you have to go. Maybe their face falls just a little, or they try to extend the conversation for a few more minutes, or they say something like, "Already?" Even if you've been talking for a while. Women do this when they're enjoying your company and they're not ready for the interaction to end. It's one of those things that's so subtle most guys don't even register it, but it's a pretty clear sign that your presence is valued. I think from a woman's perspective, when we're genuinely into someone, we want to stretch out the time we have with them, even if it's just a few extra minutes. So if you're noticing that people seem bummed when you leave, or they always suggest one more drink or one more episode or one more whatever, that's usually because they're not done being around you yet. Now here's a bonus thing I want to mention, and this is something I don't think gets talked about enough. If you're someone who gets complimented on things that aren't your appearance, like your voice, or your energy, or the way you explain things, or how calm you seem, that's actually a really strong sign of overall attractiveness, because those are the things that stick with people beyond the initial physical impression. A lot of guys focus so much on whether they're tall enough or fit enough or conventionally handsome enough, and they completely overlook the fact that the way they make people feel is what actually creates lasting attraction. So if people are commenting on your vibe or your presence or the way you carry yourself, pay attention to that, because that's the stuff that actually matters in real interactions. So, To bring this all together, if you're experiencing several of these signs on a regular basis, you're probably more attractive than you're giving yourself credit for. And I think the biggest takeaway here is that attractiveness isn't just about how you look. It's about how you make people feel, how comfortable you are in your own skin, and how present you are in your interactions. Those are the things that actually create connection, and those are the things that make people want to be around you. So if you've been doubting yourself, or assuming that you're not attractive enough or interesting enough, I'd really encourage you to pay attention to these subtle signals, because chances are people are responding to you in ways you haven't fully noticed yet. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Have you noticed any of these signs in your own life? Or are there other subtle signs you think I should have mentioned? Let me know down below. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I make videos like this every week talking about dating, relationships, and just understanding people better. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.